Hey everybody, I'm Kenny, and this is Sagebrush Soul. I'm an announcer for Live a Little Entertainment Group, and we do all types of motorsports, but mostly monster trucks. In this series, I'll be making my 2002 Tahoe into an over-the-road vehicle modeled after an Overland vehicle for the many days of the year I'm out on the road. Welcome to Tahoe Tuesday. Everybody, thanks for coming back. Today we're not actually working in the Tahoe. It is still winter here. Pretty cold and nasty outside, so we're doing an inside project. I got to come home and I've taken over the soap shop to make some gear bags for stuff I frequently lose. It's true. Like I say, today we're hanging out in the soap shop where we can make soap and candles and all kinds of awesome stuff. She's in Florida right now making candles with her daughter. Check out pepperstreetstudios.com. for more on that. And if you like chemical-free candles, it won't give you a headache. I'm not the most organized person in the world when it comes to my vehicles. Just ask anybody that knows me. I don't know why, but I tend to move into them, and obviously with the Tahoe project, that's the plan. So I already made one of these bags for my coffee press. And it holds coffee and filters as well. But I recently added a Blue Eddy power supply and an ice cold refrigerator to the Tahoe, and it came with a bunch of cables and adapters and things like that. And I was like, well, I'm gonna lose those. So I figured I'll go ahead and make some bags for that. And last night I practiced and I made one that holds all the Blue Eddy stuff, all of the extra cords, the solar cords, everything will stay in one bag. So that's why I'm building them. This is not by any means a how to sew tutorial. It's how I made these. I don't sew very good, and in fact, I've made, I think now 6 of these bags, and I'm still kind of rough. So if you do know how to sew, this is probably going to be painful for you to watch, but I need hours on the channel, so whatever you do, just leave the room if you have to, but don't stop the video. So the materials I'm using, once again, this is the Denier Cordura. Coyote is the color, not the brand. And this is already cut to 13 inches by 18.5 inches. This is gonna make a bag about a little over 8 inches long, about 5.5 inches wide, and about 3 and a little bit tall. I've also got a piece of scrap here that I've trimmed down to 2 inches wide. That'll be for the zipper loops. And then I've got a zipper cut 13 inches. And this is the kind of zipper that you add the zipper to. There are ways to use a zipper that you can't take this piece off of, but not the way I'm building it today. So you'll need to order some of that, and everything is linked in the description below. Optional materials are this piece of Velcro. I want to be able to identify what's in it, so hopefully one of these days I'll be able to make a patch that says what's in this bag. Then I've got a 2-inch by 7-inch piece of nylon webbing that'll make the handle, but you don't need those two. Obviously, other materials I'm using, I got thread. This is a little bit heavier duty. It goes in a 100-inch needle, and I'll link it below, but I'm not exactly sure what weight thread that is, but it's a little heavier duty than your standard. You're also gonna need basting tape, and this is not the kind that is the heat bond. You want the kind that is just sticky on both sides. I get it at Tandy Leather, but I have found it available on Amazon, so I'll link that below as well. But you can also use this. It's just gonna take you a little bit longer. This basting tape is a lot easier to use. Then obviously you're gonna need to be able to mark on it. I'm gonna be using a Sharpie, but I don't recommend it. I'm gonna use the Sharpie so that you can see what I'm doing, but you can find one of these heat markers. You can't iron Cordura, but you can't get enough heat to make that ink disappear. You'll definitely need some scissors, but again, optional. You can use a knife and a rotary tool. I'll show you where the knife comes in handy later. And then if you're playing with this nylon webbing, the best way to cut it is with a hot knife. This is I think it's like a $13 or $15 one from Harbor Freight. If you're gonna be playing with webbing, I got that because I got a lot of plans to use this stuff for other projects. Also gonna need some, these are sewing clips. If you got little clamps like this, but sewing clips are definitely the way to go. Pinning Cordura, not fun, and I don't recommend it. With that, we'll get started. Hopefully the audio isn't too much of a deterrent. I'm just not gonna turn the furnace off. A little too cold for that. The first thing we're going to do is make the piece that goes on our zipper loops. And when it comes to Cordura, there is definitely an inside and an outside. And it's not a major difference, but it is slightly different. You see that little bit of a sheen on that? That goes to the inside. I'm remaking this one because one of the bags I made last night, I did inside out. So don't do that. The first thing we're going to do is work the center point. Again, I don't recommend using the Sharpie, but I'm just doing it so that you can see. We're just going to mark the exact center point of that. I'm going to take our basting tape. Once again, I buy this stuff at the leather shop, but I believe I saw on Amazon. There'll be a link in the description below that you can buy the exact same stuff. I've not had much luck finding it at like a Walmart or even like Joann's Fabric or something, but that's mostly all the heat bond stuff that I found, and you don't want that. You're gonna put that tape down, straddle that line. The good news is it's transparent, so when I peel this top off, which is easier said than done, that is going to show us where our line is. Oh, the first couple bags I made, I used some nylon webbing, some 1-inch nylon webbing, and it did the job, but my machine doesn't like it. I'm using a domestic machine. Well, I've got to put my glasses on, and what we're gonna do is bring this side right to that boy. This Cordura does not respond the best to finger pressing, so we are going to give it a few clips down here. I want to just bring it so those ends come together. Should rod what clips down.
Just because you got you something. Ends is like
Okay, now this is the part that gets confusing, and this is where I screwed up last night. We're gonna put our zipper. The zipper has an inside and outside too. We're gonna double check, so you're my witness. So we're gonna put the outside up, not the shiny inside, the outside. And we're gonna take our zipper, and the zipper has an inside and an outside as well. So that's the outside, that's the inside. It's gonna seem strange, but we're gonna match the edge of the zipper, the inside of the zipper facing up where the fabric is showing and not the zipper. We're gonna baste that on right there with the basting tape. And again, you can use fabric glue, you just got to give it time to set up, but this basting tape is the bomb when it comes to that. And I've experimented both ways of putting it on the zipper and putting it on the fabric, and I like putting it on the fabric better. Well, I got the tape out, I'm going to do the other side. But we're not going to stick the zipper to this side until we sew that one on.
do the stool. Okay.
Once again, the fabric side of the zipper is going to be up. We're going to match this edge with that, not above. We're going to overlap. Lay them right together. We'll put too much pressure on it. Yeah, I'm not real great at sewing. Now, we'll go up, then we'll sew. We'll sew a stitch right up against that zipper. This is a heavy-duty Singer sewing machine, but not industrial by any stretch of the imagination. Hopefully you can see okay. But we're gonna make our first stitch. I'm gonna put the zipper foot on. We're gonna make our first stitch right up against that zipper. I wanna leave just a little space, but not much. getting a whole tour of the house. I bet most of you thought I didn't live in a house. And give it a good back stitch. Got wonky. Right, I was gonna knock the camera over. Terrible backstitch. All right, I doubt you can see it, but we got that sewed on. Don't look at the straightness of that. Now we're gonna fold that over to expose it and stitch it again. Once again, I'm just gonna kind of try to finger press that back a little bit, but Cordura, it's not real friendly about finger pressing, but you can manipulate it a little bit. It'll do. Now I am switching my foot to help me with my spacing, because I'm still using the zipper foot, but I'm putting it in a different position. Alright, so here we go. So I'm gonna go probably try for about a 1/4 of an inch away from the zipper. Got pinched down like that. By the way, these are frequently referred to as boxy bags. I think if you're a lady, you call it a boxy bag, and if you're a dude, you call it a buffalo bag. It's just, I always thought they were shaving kits. Pardon my hand right in your way there. This thing was advertised about its high-speed motor, and it does have one, but a rookie sewer doesn't need a high-speed motor. I wish it was a little slower. Another terrible backstitch. All right, so that is the crooked line you wind up with if you're not very good at sewing. So I'm gonna go down and prep the other side of the zipper to be sewed. Okay, so now I just have to double check after last night. Yep, she's there now. And this is why you have to be able to have a removable zipper head if you're doing it like this. The first couple of bags I actually made it with 2 pieces, and that will allow you to use a regular zipper because you can zip it and cut it, but we're gonna actually peel the zipper apart. This because the fuzzies sometimes tend to, well, they bother me. I'm just gonna ever so slightly, you don't want to melt that zipper, it is plastic. Just gonna cinch the fuzzies off of it. You don't have to do that, but here again, I am a rookie. So once again, fabric side up, outside of the zipper. Again, it's the outside of the bag. You want this to be as even with that edge as you can. You want your zipper to line up as good as possible so your bag doesn't get a weird shaped jug like I did right there. It's all right, we got a 3/8 seam allowance, so even though I'm over there a little bit, it should work out. We're just gonna have to pay attention when I put the zipper back together, which sucks. But now we're gonna go sew this. We'll do the same thing on this as we did on that. We'll show you the next step. If you have ever sewed before and you haven't tried these little guys, you absolutely must. They got a flat side, so it's easier, so much better than pins. Oh my gosh, pins suck. Never been able to pin stuff very good, but these little guys are the bomb. They have them everywhere. I'll link the ones I got below. Right, we're sewing our loop, our zipper loops right now. I'm gonna go to about the 10mm mark, so about 3/8, just shy of 3/8 of an inch. Is that gonna be too far in? I'm going in about a 1/2 inch on this. I don't know if that's called a seam allowance on when you're doing this kind of a stitch. Oh boy. Watch this. Just pull it right out of the way. So much better than pins. But I am back stitching these just to hold them together long enough for me to get them on, but eventually we'll fold them over like that, about 1 inch on each side. And I'll show you. All right, terrible as it looks, it will serve the function. I back stitched it just to hold it together long enough, but eventually we'll fold it in half, about 1 inch of them, and we'll cut it here. And then it'll be locked the way we sew it on, but we'll get to that point in a minute.
All right, next thing we gotta do, we gotta mark our spot for our Velcro. You're gonna want to sew that on. Before anything else, we're gonna kill 2 birds with 1 stone while we're doing this. And I wait to do this step because I am not a good sewer. So I'm gonna measure the overall length of this. We're just shy of 18 inches from zipper to zipper. But where I'm not very good and I'm not consistent with my stitches, I don't like to mark the center until I get to this point. So we're at just shy of 18 inches, so like 17 7/8. So I'm gonna go on the 9 mark right here. This is gonna make a little bitty mark, and again, I don't recommend using Sharpie just in case your seam doesn't cover it. But you're gonna want to mark that center point, and I'll show you why here in just a little bit. Just to note that you can see it. This is my first time putting on Velcro, and I screwed up in a couple of different ways. One, I went too far in when I sewed it on, so the corners feel a little bit, and I got it way too low. I went 4.5 inches on this one, so I'm just gonna go 3 inches. They should be the same height. This one's gonna be a little shorter, but overall they should be about the same height. So we'll go 3 inches from the top, and then I centered it up. I'm just gonna make a really light mark. They used this Fabri tack last on it. Didn't go so well, but I'm bound and determined. Everybody says it works great. Don't want it to squeeze out, but I want to make sure I get a good little dab on these corners.
We're gonna try.
I don't know. Somebody out there is freaking out right now over how I'm doing this. I just marked the 4 corners to kind of give me an index.
No. Gotta rewind to bobbin. All right, well, it took a lot longer than it should have, but
I'm thinking that stitch job will be a little bit better. The placement has got to be better. Oh, I shouldn't have showed you that. That ain't so pretty. Now, for the reason that we put those marks on, I'm gonna make a lot of funny faces trying to get that zipper on. Yeah, I'll film for a minute, but then, so one of the things that makes it even harder is that when you do the zipper, so we're gonna go inside out right now. When you try to put that zipper on, you're actually gonna put it on from inside. So that's kind of tough. And this will be a miracle if I get it the first try. Otherwise, I'm gonna make a bunch of funny faces, but the idea is to get the zipper on. And getting it on isn't so tough, but getting it on evenly is the part that's really frustrating. I'm actually gonna do it from the other side. I got a little better match over here. So you wanna get your zipper on as even as possible. And you kind of go at it from a little bit of an angle, but you almost need 3 hands to do this. There's no way that went on right. And I know you can't see what I'm doing. Oh my God. Oh, it's a YouTube miracle. Huh. Bad news is you gotta do that twice. So we're gonna zip it all the way up. Just while I got a good example here, this mark I made needs to be perfectly centered on that. Now that we got it closed, got to pull the zipper all the way through like that, take it off. Now we're zipped together. Now we got to try to get lightning to strike twice. So we got to separate it. And then try to do it again. We're going to move our zipper to the center. Okay. Nope. Come on. Come on, friend. I hate the funny faces I make when I'm doing this stuff. When I edit later, I'll be gone. Oh. Holy crap. All right. Usually when I'm trying to film it, it goes a lot worse than when I'm not, but you guys helped me out big time there. Okay, so that's where we're gonna center up those marks, but this is also where we're gonna add our loops. Now I got enough to add like a 1-inch loop, so by the time you add your seam allowance in, it'll be more like 5/8. Yeah, 5/8, which is enough. But I'm gonna take and cut it nice and even here. That one's gonna be a little small. And the other cool part is you could put a D-ring in right there. I saw that on a video last night, and I've got tons of D-rings, but they're all 3/4 inch, and I didn't want to fight with this being a 3/4 inch loop. So now, I'll just make this one. I'm just eyeballing it. So the funny part about it is I've got a better chance of getting them even if I don't measure, the way my seam allowances go, because I'm, again, not much of a sewer. Stitchist. Don't say seamstress. But now the loops are going to go outside. They're gonna go right up against your zipper. So you want the raw edge against the raw edge. I don't know if you can see that, but the center of the zipper lined up with your center mark. I'm gonna go ahead and get the rest of it clipped, and then I'll put the loop in, put that on, and we'll sew this side. I'm putting the loop in. I'm not pulling that out of frame when I'm doing that. And just center the loop over the zipper. that down. So we're gonna have a 3/8 inch seam allowance as I sew across it. I'm gonna sew right across the zipper and the loop and everything. So we're gonna do a 3/8 seam allowance as we sew this together. And obviously we'll put a back stitch in right here. And then at about the 1.5 inch mark, I'm gonna make sure that it's there. I'm gonna do another back stitch because we're actually gonna cut that. That's what turns it into a box. And if you forget that step, it's okay. You can go back and do it later, but it's easier to do it if you're doing it right now. Back stitch there. Probably gonna make some bad noises as I go over the zipper here. Remember when I said my machine could do it without any problem? Right on the zipper. As we go across, we're going to do another back stitch at that 1.5 point.
Now that we got our ends sewed up, now we're going to create the box part, and we're going to measure 1.5 inches because we're going for a 3-inch tall box. It'll puff up just a little bit more than that, but we're going to take 1.5 by 1.5, so half your height we're going to take out of this corner, and make sure and measure from your seam, not from the edge. I've made that mistake as well. So 1.5. So 1.5 from this edge, 1.5 from the seam. Could have done that all in one fell swoop. You want it to be as square as possible. Let's try it this way instead. There we go. 1.5. 1.5. We'll mark that on all 4 corners.
Well, let's start it, and here's that.
And deep absolutely. And I have plans to do now about it.
It doesn't matter if you overcut just a little bit, like a 16th or a 32nd, because there is going to be a seam allowance. But I found if I use a razor knife, I can put the tip right where I want the cut to end, and I can get a cleaner corner cut on there without overcutting. Well, I just changed the dynamic of the whole bag. I wasn't looking close enough when I did a 1 3/4. And I realized it just as I was dragging the blade. So we're gonna see what happens to it. We're gonna have to change this now. We're gonna have to change everything to 1 3/4. They'll probably change, it's gonna change the height of our bag. Hopefully it'll still fit everything. The volume, I think, will be the same, but we're sure I could use another bag. All right, we got those all cut out. For ease of stitching, now we're going to take our seam allowance down to 1/4 inch. Probably get away with just a little bit less. I know that's not how you're supposed to use those, but I was trying to get through that zipper. So now we're going to line up our other edges and clip them. I'm going to read some clips. So now we're going to take each of these corners and pull them out like so. Get these lined up really good.
if we don't have them back for it.
And I always wind up with a little thing like that, but the straighter you stitch that line, the more boxy your bag will be. Oh, there we go.
That is like that.
And I don't know if it matters, but I like to keep the seam on top when I'm sewing so I can see what it's doing and make sure it doesn't hang up. Now, so if we're paying attention to our zipper, technically this is the front of the bag. So I'm gonna put a strap in this one. And this is my 2-inch webbing, and you can use anything. You can make a strap for this the same way that I made the zipper loops. But I'm gonna put that inside. And then I'm gonna move it all the way to the opposite side of the zipper because I like mine to sit towards the bottom of the box to stay out of the way of that. And again, this step is completely optional. That's why we put the zipper loop on there so you could easily grab hold of that to undo the zipper. I just think it's handy to be able to reach for it. Even if you can just get it with a finger, you get it. Move it around. We'll do the same thing, but now we've got that strap. Then we'll sew across here with a 3/8 seam allowance on all 4 sides. So when I sew these, I'm going to try to get them to lay down pointing away from the zipper. It probably doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of difference, but it just seems like that makes more sense to help that all lay the same direction. I know you can't really see, but I did a really good back stitch on that one. Just because it's the corner and it's probably going to get a fair amount more pressure on it. Getting into that strap now. Why are you mad at me? No, I just got thinking about it. You could actually do another back stitch across that seam where the strap is. Give it a little bit more strength. I think it's fine for what I'm doing, but if you're making legit outdoor gear, might be a good idea. And you want to make sure and sew right to the edge, or you could wind up with little holes in your corners. So there's the spot I was talking about. I'm right at the top of the strap, so I'm gonna go ahead just to show you what I'm talking about. Give it another back stitch right there. It just gives it a little bit more strength at the corners. And the most fun part of all, and you could actually trim those down, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you the project. Now we're just gonna turn it right side out. No straggling. Get up in those corners. Wooden spoon is really handy if you can't get the corners to pop out. Put a little pressure in those corners because it might be deceiving to you. You think they're out, but they're not. And it needs a little more. And again, that's why it's really important to sew right to the edge of those seams. And there you go. got yourself a storage bag to stay organized, and looks like the patch placement is much better on that one. So I'll post a link, I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I will post a link to a formula if you want to do this, to what to cut your fabric dimensions to. But let's take it downstairs and see if it fits what we made it for.
So these are the cords and adapters that came with the IceCo refrigerator, and that's what I want to keep together. And I took the measurements, did the formula. Looks like they'll go in there. Just fine with a little bit of room to spare in case I run across something else that goes along with that. And eventually I'll get a patch on there that identifies it in some way. If it's a cool custom one I can order to stick on there, I'll do that. If not, I can tool a leather one and glue that to it. But the nice part is I can use the opposite side of the Velcro. Right now I can put it on with a Sharpie. Won't look real great, but at least I'll know what that's there for, and I can grab it really quick, but I should keep everything together. This is kind of the evolution of my skill level right here. The very first one I made out of vinyl, which I don't recommend. It makes for a cool bag, don't get me wrong, but it shouldn't be the material you use on your first project. It's a little harder to work with. And I did a liner in that one, which is a whole nother level. And I don't think I'll do another line one for quite some time. This is mostly what I'm doing. I'm not doing decorative stuff. I'm just doing stuff to stay organized. But this one was actually supposed to be a little bit more like this one, but I put the zipper on the wrong side. So this is a mistake, but it's a cute little feller. I'm sure I can find something to put in it. Then this one is the copy one, and you can see I said pay attention to where you put that strap. I did not pay attention to where I put that strap. And this has a bigger zipper, which if you have an industrial machine, absolutely no problem. But I recommend the number 5 that I've got linked down below, and I'll put a comment on it, but I'll link both zippers if you want this bigger heavy duty style and you got a machine that'll sew over the top of it. I'll link that down there. But these ones now, this is the one I made last night. It's got all the Blue Eddy stuff in it. And I'll be able to label it. But again, made a little mistake on my measuring on how far down the patch should go. That's not where I want it, but it'll work. And then one I made inside out, which I'll find something to do with it, but I can't handle putting that one in the Tahoe. Then this one made just for the right size. I don't know what it is. I like the bag idea versus hard boxes and things like that, because these will squish down and conform. They got room for more stuff, but as it stands right now, if I need to squish them into a drawer or another box or something to that effect, maybe all in another bag, I don't know. But this is definitely a kind of a cool thing, just a way to keep stuff together. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate this. It's pretty cool, the new friends that I've made doing this video series. Still super excited about it. But my name's Kenny. This is Sagebrush Soul. Happy Tahoe Tuesday. And may the best of your past be the worst of your future.